Righty, all set up, ready to go. Good morning.
Gee,
Good
good
afternoon for
morning.
you, I suppose. What time is it over there?
Yeah, good afternoon. 3:23.
Yeah, right. Thursday afternoon.
Yeah, in the afternoon. Yeah, it's like five where you're at. Yeah, it's kind of crazy, brother.
I'm in the future, bro. Well, thanks for being here first off, and let's have a little chat about you. I had a bit of a snoop around last night on your YouTube and stuff. You got a pretty nice little following over there, so you've obviously been doing content creation for a while. And what sort of games you've been playing before this, and how'd you get into all of this?
well, I've made some videos and I've streamed assortment of games from like Legend of Dragoon to a little bit of like GTA and Final Fantasy 14. But my main content was World of Warcraft, and I was making a lot of YouTube shorts for World of Warcraft and Season Discovery. That's where the channel blew up originally. Um, but I just decided to distance myself a little bit from World of Warcraft and spend some more time playing a different game. And currently, it would be Legacy Stone Sorcery.
Yeah, okay. What I played a fair bit of Season of Discovery. What did you think of it?
It was one of the best versions World of Warcraft's had for a while. And towards the end, they handled it without any care. So it just made me feel like they didn't really care about the player base or their opinion. And over the last 20 years that I've spent with them, it hasn't. It's been like a repeated history, repeated over history with them. So I just felt like it's time for me to distance myself. I don't feel like the season's discoveries gonna be able to get repeated. They'll
Yeah,
don't get better.
yeah, fair. What class were you playing?
I was playing a paladin.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, they seemed pretty busted. I mean, not compared to Shaman. I remember those few
Yeah, the
phases of
the light is
Shaman.
indeed powerful.
Yeah, how did you find dealing with Shamans? I remember for a while there in Warsong Gulch and stuff, they were pretty unstoppable.
They're very strong, yeah, but they were the perfect counter to paladins because of the purge and everything. But
Yeah.
they've always been a counter to paladin, I would say.
What class were you playing? Oh, not class. Spec were you playing as Pally?
Retribution.
Yeah, very nice. So how did you find Legacy Steel and Sorcery?
I was in a point in my life where I didn't know what to do, and I played World of Warcraft every day and didn't know where to go. And so I was just on Twitch trying to find games or trying to find content creators to watch. And one of the games, those are content creator at the bottom of the Twitch, like on the left, where like I recommend you content creators. And it was a guy called Firebox, and I clicked on it, and he was playing Steel and Sorcery, and I was watching some of his. I see some of his content in Dark and Darker as well. So I clicked on him again to see what he was doing, and Steel and Sorcery. Within an hour of me watching it, I bought the game, and I streamed it that same night, and I had a blast, and I haven't looked back.
Was that when did you get involved? Because I started in season zero, but you're kind of a newer name to me. Were you there from the start or?
No, I was there in season one. I joined a little late into season one, maybe a couple weeks or a few weeks later or something.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense then. And how you finding the game overall? We'll get into season two specifics, but what's your vibe
Well,
on the game?
overall this is one of my favorite games right now. It pulled me away from World of Warcraft, and right now the player base is incredibly small, but the game as a whole has got me incredibly excited for what the future could bring. So it's allowing me to enjoy it as it is, as the game that it is. And as the game blows up and gets bigger, it'll get even better for me.
Yeah, I'm really hoping that does happen. Got my fingers
I'm
crossed.
having a blast. I'm having a blast in this, man.
Yeah,
If I'm addicted to it, and I got addicted to World of Warcraft, and I got addicted to Escape from Tarkov, I imagine some people are probably gonna get addicted to this game like I am.
yeah, I sure hope so. I'm I truly believe in it. I've never really done any content creation before this game, but figured this is a good chance to get in. It's a new, fresh game, and wanted to try help get as many eyes on it as possible. Because yeah,
That's good,
like
yeah.
like you, I think it's one of the funnest games I've ever played. I find it. I tried going back to play a little bit of Mister Pandaria before the end of season one when everything was quieting down, and yeah, the combat just feels so lackluster in a game like WoW. after playing a game
Yeah.
like this.
Yeah, 100%. When I started playing this game, it was I think like 2 weeks before I quit World of Warcraft, and just a couple of days me playing this, like I didn't even care about my raids or any PvP in World of Warcraft. I like when I played it, it was like I hated it. Like I just was not enjoying it at all, and I just wanted to go back to the game, which is this one.
Yeah, yeah, I'm with you there, man.
But Miss Pandaria, I didn't feel like going back to Miss Pandaria at all either, because I already spent time in that a part of my life there. And the Miss Pandora release was just gonna be the same shit, but like slight adjustments, and then they call it a new game.
Yeah, I didn't play too much Miss back in the original day, but I did hear that it's kind of like a peak time for PvP in WoW. But I mean, even with that, it still doesn't even compare to this, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would say so.
So, season two so far, how happy are you with the content that released for season two?
Well, I really like the adventure quest that they've added. The adventure quest was an interesting way that they could make money themselves, but also give us something to do to work towards a cosmetic for pretty cheap as well. Because other places they do it for like World of Warcraft, for example, they'll sell cosmetics for 20, 25, $30, sometimes more, and all you do is swipe your credit card and it's in your mailbox. There's nothing to do. So it just makes me feel like, from the dev's perspective, all they do is make the cool skin and that's it. There's nothing else attached to it. But in this game, they made the new skin, but they also added, the campaign quests and everything that's attached to it. So it makes me feel like they at least cooked something up. Even if it's a little bit, it cooks something up other than just me swapping my credit card and getting the coolest skin. The classes, they're pretty interesting right now. I prefer the balance that season one was. Season one felt like it was closer in balance, but right now in season two, it just feels like rogues and Mason Shield warriors and Deathball warriors are really high up there, and everybody else was left behind. So I hope they address that soon. But other than that, I'm enjoying season two a lot. Just wish there was more players. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah, like I've said with a lot of the guests, I feel like over half the issues that we discussed with the game would be solved straight away with a bigger player base. So
100%.
it's hard to really get a gauge of what is an issue and what isn't because yeah, most of the things are a player count issue. We saw that player count go up, we might be talking about completely.
That's what we're hoping for because the player count went up in season one. But the season one, the reason why it went up was because of the Steam free weekend, and we're hoping that with the player count, if they were to do another Steam weekend, that the player base will at least stick around. But if the classes are a little bit imbalanced like it is right now, where it's so one-sided, and you run into the same kind of class, like you run to a lot of warriors and you run into a lot of rogues, it might be a problem for the future players who try to try out the game.
Yeah,
So I hope they like bring in the balance a little more.
Rogues definitely got cooked on this season. They host a weekly OCE duel tournament. I mean, it's open to anyone, and we were lucky enough to have Raiden come over last week. I don't know if you've played against him much.
Yeah, I played against him just recently.
Yeah, he's I haven't really seen a rogue do what he does. He, despite 250 ping, absolutely made a clown show of us all. Guys on another
Yeah,
level.
man.
The
Yeah, Raiden's very good. He's one of the best. I think he's the best like EU person. But there's like four or five, maybe six good rogues. But there's is it what I don't understand or don't know is it if all those players are good because they're actually good or if is it because it's the rogue because most content creators play rogues or some of them don't even play some of them aren't even content creators and they play rogues and they're still very powerful.
yeah, yeah, the silent blade rushes now pretty scary. I don't know how I feel
Yeah, the
about that.
silent
There's not really a lot of counterplay to it because
it's really just a silent thing, yeah.
if if they're good players, you don't see it coming.
Yeah, yesterday I was farming on nighttime and I heard in the distance a rogue fighting the wraith mob in the center. And I was like, okay, let me go kill this skeleton right here. I was pretty far. Like I didn't know he would even notice I was there. And within like a few seconds, the rogue sneaks up on me into a cheap shot and literally scared the shit out of me. It didn't hear anything. Didn't hear him, didn't see him. He just boom, cheap shot. I'm still thinking he's over there fighting the mob.
Yeah, Nemo Deep's in the chat saying same thing. The Silent Blade Rush, additional stealth Phantom Dagger helps enable them a lot. Totally agree there. He also asked
Yeah, man.
if you could make your bed.
If you what?
Nemo asked me to ask you to make your bed.
To make my bed?
Yeah.
Oh, no, that's okay.
um, so we talked about some things you are liking from this season. What are some things that you're disliking?
Um, Disliking just the fact that there's not any players to play with. I'm getting bored running the same people. Um, but that's the main reason. That's basically it. Everything else is whatever. Like the class imbalance and the way rogues are and the way Mason Shield is it's whatever. It's the fact that we can't play any like we're not really playing with anybody new.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like that's the biggest sentiment from most players right now is the play count. I was I didn't I wasn't quite sure how this season would perform, but I did think it'd see definitely a higher peak off the bat than we got. I mean, what's the peak? 660 something, I think. Compared
This
to
season,
yeah,
I don't know what the peak is this season. This is probably a lot less than that, maybe.
I'm pretty sure it hit 660 that first week, but
Oh, nice, yeah.
pretty big difference to the nearly 4,000 players we got. But yeah, like we said, the free weekend, but
Yeah, that was the only reason because they haven't started marketing the game. That's the only reason why I blew up in season one because they had a free weekend and they had like a content creator like Zari or other people just randomly playing it and it was people were able to try it out for free. So
yeah,
that's why I blew up there. But this season there was we've had content creators come try it, but the game wasn't free yet and it was still in development, so they haven't there been no marketing.
yeah.
But I imagine when they do marketing, it'll be a lot better.
Yeah, it's a shame that the that 6 month cooldown that Steam has on free weekends because releasing it along with the new Goldbrook map in my mind would have been perfect hand in hand. But I suppose they didn't realize that they were even going to be making Goldbrook as a new map before they got all the feedback from season one. So kind of a hindsight.
Yeah, but that's what I like. The fact that they're willing to change and mold depending on the feedback of the individuals that they hear. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they are
They've
extremely
added a lot of things.
yeah, they, they definitely have their finger on the pulse and they do listen to the community a lot, which is great. The meet the devs things too are awesome. Great that they're so
Yeah, man.
interactive with the community, and especially that whether people like it or not, I suppose. But some of the meet the devs are feels like 80% Q&A to, to
I would say so. Yeah,
to open themselves up to the community for completely unfielded questions. It's brave. You never
yeah,
really
that's
know.
what I prefer.
Never know what
Yeah,
you
you're always
get.
watching like you always watch like the Blizzard interviews or whatever, and they always have specific questions and they always have their answers lined up. Like it sounds like a script. But hearing the Meet the Devs, they're very they allow you to ask them any question and they talk to you off the top of their head, and I like their logical responses that they give.
Yeah.
So it's very nice.
Well, let's talk. We've touched on it. Let's chat about the balance a little bit. I noticed you having I don't know if I'd say heated, but a bit of a discussion the other day in the VIP chat with someone. I won't name them for their own sake, but about the state of Warrior and what you guys think about it. So let's dive into that a little bit. Do you remember this discussion I'm talking about?
I imagine you're bringing up the discussion about the whole axe versus Mason Shield debacle.
Yes, exactly.
Um, well, my perspective was, just looking at it face value, comparing because all warriors have the same abilities or the same you know, uh, choice of abilities. Like I can use a frenzy, or I can use a charge, or I can use a heroic leap. So excluding the abilities, like we can have that a different discussion. If we were to just talk about the weapons itself, the Mason Shield, in my perspective, was more in power or have higher power than both the Death Ball and the Axe, and not by a little bit. I would imagine by a lot. And the reason why I was arguing this was because Mason Shield, with their left clicks and their tech attacks and their jump attacks, just like the other weapons do or other classes may have, when they land the attack, excluding the gray or white damage that it does, it also applies a slow, a bleed effect. It reduces the target's armor. It reduces their own armor by 10%. It has a shield bash. They have 8 block pips. The shield bash breaks all block pips. The shield bash now with the shoulders also generates an enrage, which gives them a 10% health bubble, and they're immune to snares. They have a headbutt silence that they could repeat. And all this is just one weapon, not abilities or anything. It's just the weapon, right? And the X, the only thing it has is the whirlwind slow that sometimes procs, I guess. But it has the jump attack, but it doesn't apply the slow. The left clicks and right clicks don't apply a bleed. The heavy attack doesn't apply an armor reduction. The whirlwind applies a slow sometimes, but it's not an AoE slow. It's not as big of an AoE as the quick is, and quick also applies a slow. Um, but the argument that the other individual was saying was that the specific acts of the Augur Max is overpowered. But even if you look at the Augur Max itself, or if you use the Augur Max, there's nothing about it that makes it overpowered, except for maybe the tooltip. But we're not even bringing up the tooltip of what the other Mason shields have. We're just talking about the abilities that they have. The slow, the bleeds, the armor reduction. All that's attached to all Mason shields, let alone the skill effect that's attached to each weapon. So it was like a whole argument of me trying to explain to him that, Mason Shield is overpowered from my perspective because of the things that I've mentioned. And if he were to think it's overpowered, where would he think that the axe is overpowered? Like, what does it have that others don't? And he was saying, it's the weapon effect, the fact that I can cast a chain and then pull them in and then do a heavy attack quicker than the other axes.
Is that
And
could you just
even
remind me what is the effect on Orgrim's rage?
the Algrim's Rage allows me to use my chain to go in with the full duration. And if I use my chain with the full duration, the heavy axe goes off faster. That's the effect itself. It allows me to get the heavy axe off faster.
Yeah, okay, so it just guarantees you that charge up hit if you land your chain.
Yes, if you land the chain. But the only way you can use the chain is if you're enraged from another ability, because anything can stop the chain. So you have to use another ability to get enraged from like charge or whatever, get 20, that's 20 rage, or frenzy, which is 40 rage, and then use 20 rage on the chain, and then hope that you land the chain into the heavy attack. And then he's saying that's what's overpowered. But even if I were to give that to him, that's overpowered, I don't think that that's something that the devs should look out first when we have Mason Shield, for example, where it has all those things that I've mentioned. On
Yeah,
top of that, having really high damage.
yeah. Let's go through some of those things on Mason Shield. Because I agree with you. It's I play priest and uh warriors are super oppressive. I feel like they can stay on top of me with those jump attacks, shield bashes, and while I'm having to actually use my stamina bar, it doesn't seem like they have to commit anywhere near the same amount of stamina to stay on top of me. So if I don't have
It's
ledges
because
or verticality around me, it's very, very difficult to get away from a warrior or win that stamina matchup. Uh,
if a Mason Shield blocks, they get a huge amount of stamina.
Hmm. Yeah, just
So every
another
time they
thing.
block your attack, it makes it worse.
Yeah, true. So what do you think should be done? Do you think we need to see some cooldowns on how much they can spam some of that stuff?
Well, I feel like, if you look at each individual um buff, I guess you could say, per the weapon. you'll notice that the bleed itself in itself isn't overpowered, right? The armor reduction in itself isn't overpowered. You know, just all this shit that the Mason Shield has in itself isn't overpowered. But the thing that makes it overpowered is the fact that they're able to repeatedly headbutt silence somebody over and over and over again. I don't think anybody should allow to be given the opportunity to spam headbutt silence. And I don't think that they should just put a cooldown on the headbutt silence. I think they should just remove it entirely because it already has a block pips, the shield bash, the slows, the armor reduction, their own armor reduction, the bleeds. Like they already has all of this. All these together would equal to the one headbutt silence because, like I said, no class should be given the opportunity to be able to repeat headbutt silence. Even if the person was AFK, a rogue shouldn't be able to just spam a paralyzing dart. Even if the rogue is AFK, the priest shouldn't be able to just repeatedly spam their stuns, which they're able to. There's no class that should repeatedly silence anybody, and even if the opportunity was presented.
Yeah, I suppose priests have the limitation of mana, though.
Yeah, and rogues certainly no. Imagine rogues being able to just spam cheap shot or
That'd be
spam
hell.
paralyzing dart.
Yeah. Yeah, no. Yeah, okay, so completely removal of the silence. I wouldn't complain. You'd hear no complaints from me, that's for sure. The
Everything else is whatever. They changed the block pips and the way that works, so it's not that big of a problem. And everything else, the bleed, the slows, and everything, and they're not really that huge of a problem. It was mainly that. Oh, I guess the new shoulder that they introduced is kind of crazy because as a warrior, the only way you can generate an enrage is if you use an ability that uses rage. So you use a charge, you use a rogue leap, or use a frenzy, or use whirlwind, and these generate an enrage. But now the new shoulders allows a warrior using a mason shield to shield bash, and that shield bash, even if they have zero rage, will give them a free enrage, which also gives them that 10% health bubble,
yeah, right.
which is crazy.
Yeah, it seems like they just have like compounding effects. Like everything
Yeah.
kind of empowers everything else. It's refreshing to hear a warrior player express this. Most people don't want to ever see anything taken away from their class, but
I feel that 100%. But I've always played classes or ways of my class that was considered like less people would play, and I was never really a meta chaser. I guess I could say that. So I've always wanted the meta chasers to like be more humble, I guess, because a lot of them believe that they're very good at the game, but they never understand that it's X, Y, or Z power of a weapon or a gear or a class that may be potentially carrying this individual. So I've always been an advocate to nerfing the more overpowered stuff. And I don't just say, can you nerf this? Can you nerf that? I try to bring, logic and actual facts. And from our discussion today, I imagine you could probably agree that from the things that you can point to Mason Shield, it's considered overpowered compared to what the axe is. The axe has no effects whatsoever. It has more damage, sure, because it's an axe. It's considered the offensive weapon, but it has no slows or bleeds or armor reduction. You can't block. You can't do any of that. That's the reason why I enjoy using that. And when the individuals that do play Mason Shield, hypothetically, if that weapon were to get nerfed, a lot of them will be hurting, and we won't be seeing that many Mason Shield warriors. Right now, that's all we're seeing is Mason Shield warriors when we do see warrior.
yeah, no, I agree with you. It's definitely the most popular choice at the moment. The axe, its damage though can't be understated. I was in the social hub the other night with one of the OCE warriors, just having a duel and doing some tests, and we both chucked on blue gear. He built up full rage, and if he whirlwind standing next to me on my priest, he one shots me. It does my
Yeah,
full health
100%.
bar.
Yeah, yeah. The whirlwind, you're able to. The thing about whirlwind is you're able to dodge out of the second hit or so, so you're able to just get out of it entirely. But if an individual doesn't dodge or they just choose to just sit there, then yes, you could have had 100% 100 somebody with a full bar rage. But the quake, for example, it has a way wider radius and it's comboed with a shield bash, so it's harder to get out of it. But the when a whirlwind, absolutely, yeah, it does a lot of damage with the if it lands and they sit in it.
Yeah, and the trade off for the range on the axe, I could just be coping a bit, but I feel like sometimes I ascend into the air or I'm off an edge, and it feels like that thing hits me from a mile away. But
That might be a desync.
you do have no block pips and everything with it. I suppose it does need some benefit to be using the axe. Otherwise, no one's going to use it. I suppose.
Yeah, I don't think they should buff the axe or even remove anything from the Mason Shield and give it to the axe. I feel like the axe is fine where it stands right now. They could even remove because they just, I think, not too long ago, like last towards the end of last season or something, they increased the damage of Whirlwind by 50%. I was already comfortable with my warrior before that, and I was disagreeing with that change. They could remove that entirely, and I'd be fine. I don't think warrior needs a buff or sorry, I don't think Axe needs a buff. I just think Mason Shield needs to be toned down, and the new Tenderizer change also needs to be tuned down. Every left click reducing the target's armor is crazy.
Do you play much Deathball?
I was playing with it recently, yeah.
How do you feel about that? I don't see it much at all.
The the Tenderizer in itself is, I would consider, overpowered. Overall, Death Ball, I wouldn't say it's that overpowered. It has the unstoppables and unblockables, but I wouldn't consider it an overpowered weapon. Mason Shield is by far way ahead of it. But Death Ball, the new Tenderizer change, they made it so that they changed the weapon skill effect. So now it reduces the target's armor. I don't know the exact percentage. I want to say it's 10% per hit, or maybe it's 5% per hit or something like that. And they could do it up to 4 times.
Yeah, okay.
But it's a lot of armor reduction, yeah. And it's every left click.
Yeah, okay. That's just not baked in on hit effect. Someone's saying 10% per hit
But,
up to 30.
well, it's 4 hits. It's 4 hits for sure. So it would be if it's up to 30, then it would be like, I don't know, maybe like 8% per hit or 7% per hit
Yeah,
or something, whatever the math may be.
7.5. Yep. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's not a. It'll have a little test again. Do you play any other classes?
Me?
Yeah,
Like, do I play any classes? No, I don't. But right now, I mean, I started off with Priest. We got to level 20, and I thought it was a joke how powerful I was because I was playing World of Warcraft and people meme on Paladin because, the bubble that we have and shit. So I played Priest, and I felt like it was kind of comical because I had a lot more bubbles. I had the right click bubble and I had the card bubble, and it was I got bored once I got to 20, and then people were telling me that Warrior was the worst class, and then I went to Warrior, and then playing Warrior, everyone kept telling me that Warrior was nerfed from season 0, and that Warrior is really bad right now, and the only way I can play Warrior is if I use Mason Shield, and that was my entire experience, like every day for the first few months of playing World of War or playing Steel Sorcery, would be constant people in my chat, other content creators telling me that I need to use the Mason Shield to be able to perform. But to this day, we still haven't used it. And I would say we're doing fine. But the Mason Shield, from what I've learned over time, is it just has so much power. And there's probably a lot of individuals who were used to the combat in season 0 and don't understand or realize just how powerful the Mason Shield is compared to its other weapons.
yeah, yeah. No, I agree with you there. I think this game's done a good job. I've seen people of every class using every weapon successfully. Like it
Yeah,
might not be the meta choice, but even like some of the staff and scepter priests you see, it's definitely considered to be very weak, but some guys make it look very strong.
absolutely. Every class and weapon in this game it is uh very good, or it's very high skill ceiling, I would say. Anybody could, if you're good, you can make anything work.
Yeah,
If you're bad, you can make even the strongest class bad.
yeah,
Because this game, you have to dodge, you have to aim, you have to know what combos you're doing, you have to know what combos are going to be done to you. But there's a lot more than just like World of Warcraft, like tab target pressing buttons.
10%. Nemo's saying, including rogues. Yeah. So, in terms of balance, I mean, you don't play many other classes, but what do you think about? We briefly touched on rogue, but what are you thinking about rogue balance at the moment?
cheap shots, they balance of rogue, there's only a few things that I feel like is a problem. As a dagger rogue, their cheap shot towards the end, like middle end of the season of last season, I was consistently dodging every rogue cheap shot. It was even though it was very quick, it was easy to dodge. You just move out of the way, right? This season, they made it so that it takes longer to cast, and an idea it would make it even easier to dodge. But the cloud that they shoot out lingers for so long that often than not, I have a few clips already where I will dodge the smoke cloud entirely, and the rogue will start their next attack like a bleed attack or whatever it is, and then I'll go in with my own a jump attack or whatever attack, and I'll still get caught in the cloud, which I feel like lasts for way too long. The fact that they can do the cheap shot animation and could start with another attack like a bleed or a poison or whatever it is, and the cloud is still up, and then I do my own thing to respond to punish him, and then I get hit by the stun is crazy. And on top of that, we also have, the stealth sound and the fact that they can just creep up on you without you hearing them at all and get you in a free cheap shot backstab. That comboed with like soul rogues and their own blade rush problem. It's just those like the audio and the cheap shot smoke duration. It lingers too long.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about the audio changes either. Like I was saying earlier, I just feel like it's taken away a little bit of players' agency to respond and for counterplay. How can you counter something that you can't see, you can't hear? It just comes out of
Yeah.
nowhere. Next thing you know, you're on the ground.
Yeah, everything needs a counterplay.
Yeah, even if it was quieter, but I suppose there's not really.
Most counter most counterplays just comes to the form of dodging, just moving out of the way. And sometimes animations are too quick, so they slow down the animation like they did with like the dragon breath and shit. But the main counter is dodging, but you can't really dodge like what you can't hear, what you can't see.
Yeah,
So it's just or on top of that, even if you were to dodge the cheap shot, you see and you can hear the cheap shot animation and you dodge it, and the smoke still lingers long enough, and you just walk back into it is obnoxious.
yeah, I feel like they are a little overtuned. It's good. I think
The
it's really
damage was
good.
and everything else, I think is fun.
Yeah, what they've done with them, I think, is really good. Like overall, good changes for the Rogue. I think they may have just went a little bit too far with some of those things that you've mentioned. But it's great to see a lot more sword rogues. I mean, for a while there, it was just all backstab Andes. Just come
Yeah,
in
right
and
now we're seeing just a lot of rogues in general. Just wait till mid-season when we get that new weapon.
oh yeah, yeah. Someone said that poll the other day of what class are you seeing the most, and I think Rogue won it with 66%. And when you're talking about
Oh,
five
nice.
five options, that is a huge makeup of disparity.
Yeah, man.
Nearly talking and
What
what
was the second choice? I forgot that. Look, let me see.
I think second might have been Warrior.
Polls. Oh wow, holy shit. 66% the rogue, and then warrior just with only 14% of the votes. Still the second highest. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's crazy. 219 people voted.
Yep. So that's a huge fraction of rogues. I mean, obviously it's biased to the people who are doing that poll, but it's got to mean something. Those numbers are so blown out.
Yeah. It
That's
must be
it's
because the rogue is just the coolest class, I guess, you know?
it always attracts a certain game, certain type of gamer, even from WoW days. I feel like
Yeah, man.
the rogue's always been a popular fantasy type. Adriano, those stats come from the poll channel Discord. Someone put up a poll the other day of what class are you seeing the most in games. The rogue blew everyone out of the water.
Yeah, because it's true. I mean, I literally see so many rogues.
What about hunters? I mean, I feel like OCE is not really a good temperature check because our community is so small that like I think we have one or two hunters currently cruising around, and our one
Y-
long time hunter is pretty upset with the changes.
Yeah, a
Um,
lot of hunters are upset because of the bunny hop change.
Yeah.
That was the main thing that affected them. The eagle change wasn't that big of a deal. The swift bow dodge change didn't affect every hunter, and it was necessary. It was that comboed with the bunny hop, but the bunny hop change was the biggest change because now they're glued to the ground.
Yeah, that's the same thing that's really cut Brees off at the knees as well. Why people feel like they can't really play Scepter and Staff, especially in solos at the moment, because you Brees have got no mobility spells, and if someone gets on you and you can't be hot, uh, they feel pretty terrible. Not gonna lie,
Yeah.
compared to what it was.
Yeah, priest is probably the worst class right now on the phone because they have the most bugs, I believe, with their class, and also the B hop change. The B hop change hurt them the most.
Oh yeah, yep. As well as I believe a lot of people have been. I don't know where they're getting the info, but a lot of people have said that they're coding in some extra abilities to the mirror. But I mean, the mirror is it has its place. Don't get me wrong, but bit meme as an ability, and you only have that one choice. I think we are the only class that is locked into an ability. There's no option there. I'd like to
Yeah,
see.
maybe they'll add some more or something
Yeah,
in the
well,
future.
apparently they did say they're coding two variations of the mirror.
Oh, variations of the mirror.
Yeah,
Oh, so you can choose between them. Interesting.
yeah, which would be nice just to have a little bit of option there to change your gameplay up. Um,
Yeah.
I can't remember who it was. Someone did a big post in talking about changes for the scepter and staff. And I got involved, having a bit of chat, and someone had a cool idea as well of like maybe the mirror. Um, if the priest ran through it, give you a bit of a movement boost or something like that. Just give it a little bit more utility, make it feel like a spell you're actually going to use in combat. Someone's not just going to walk around it and completely make it feel useless.
Shit, just allow priest to place two mirrors down and they can teleport between mirrors.
Ooh, damn, I like that. That is very cool.
That'd be pretty sick, yeah.
Yeah, that's nice, man. Hopefully, one or two of the devs normally watches this. Hopefully, Seong's here and he heard that one. Give the boys that idea. And finally, Wizard. What are you thinking about the state of Wizard?
Wizard right now, I don't feel like it is a noob friendly class, but it is definitely it has a high skilling, just like a high skill ceiling, just like every class does. But the gap between a new player and a high skilling mage is very wide. But when an individual is at the end of how powerful a mage could be, they're very scary because they have the possibility or the capability to near one shot, and depending on your class, literally one shot you with the combos, which is spicy in itself. But they have, very low HP that new players are probably just going to get shat on and just get melted consistently. I feel like they should probably just remove a little bit of their damage and not give them any health, but give them like bubbles in the form like elemental armors or something like World of Warcraft. Frost a bubble or frost armor. I feel that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah,
But mages right now, they're just a little too powerful on the top end.
yeah, I totally agree. I think they are one of the biggest disparity in skill. Like you can really tell a new mage compared to a very skilled one, like you said. 'Cause, yeah, a new
Yeah,
one I kind
because
of walk all over, whereas a good one you got to be really, really careful. They know what they're
yeah,
doing.
like you need to follow like as a mage, you need to follow a very specific combo rotation to do the big damage. So like when a low mage isn't doing that, they're like ducks in the water. You know what I'm saying? They're fucked.
Yeah, 100%. That's anything else on balance you want to chat about before we move on to something else?
I'm on about balance. Now the biggest problems were just I would say Mason and Shield, the stealth for rogues, and the cheap shot lingering too long. But I think that's the biggest thing. Overpowered, and then the weaker side is Priest being too buggy. Priest no longer having B hopping, so they got no mobility. And Hunter also getting the B hopping change, and they lack mobility as well.
Yeah, I suppose
but
they
that's about
still
it. Yeah,
do have their cyclone, but that's a choice they have to make, I suppose.
yeah, that's a choice they have to make. Yep.
Yeah, at least they have that
Which
choice,
I don't
though.
think
As a priest, we
it's
don't
true
have a
because of priest.
choice.
Yeah.
You're locked in. This is what you're doing. I do
Yeah.
like that they slowed down the Sentinel strike a little bit too. I felt like there was a range cap, and if you were inside that range, there was no dodge, no chance to
Yeah.
dodge it. I I feel like
Yeah.
now,
The eagle change and the swiftness change to the legs or whatever piece of gear was. Excuse me. And like all these changes that they made, like the swivel change, like all this was logical changes that was expected to come. Right, there was nothing you could point to about these changes that made no sense. And they still moved swiftness from the dodges to the arrows, so you have to be more accurate with your fire and frost arrow, and you get rewarded for being accurate. And I feel like that's fine. But the biggest change in itself was the b hopping, and I hope they implement the b hop. They bring back b hopping in some way, because before the problem was like the top 1% was b hopping, and majority of the hunters or priests didn't know how to b hop because you have to do it like perfectly for it to work. So I feel like they should just implement it in like a trade or something. So like naturally you get when you get to like I don't know like 15 or some shit, you're gonna unlock it, or 16, whatever, you're gonna unlock it, and it will say like you maintain your speed as while jumping or some shit. Like I don't know. I feel like that would probably be beneficial.
yeah,
But yeah,
even if you got a few more jumps in before you incurred that penalty, because right now it's that second jump you basically become stationary.
yeah, no bueno.
Yeah, I agree. Uh, One other thing actually before we move on is I don't know whether you'll have much to say about this playing warrior, but do you have any thoughts on stamming out, changing your weapon?
Yeah, so I like the idea that when you swap weapons, use stamina. I like that concept because we had individuals that were like in the tournament, for example, like as a warrior, they would have, two weapons like an axe and a death ball, and they'd get cheap shot by a rogue, and then the warrior would go in the bag and then swap the mason shield on, and that'll allow them to get 10% physical damage reduction in that cheap shot. That's two different problems, because one, that was a bug that you were able to swap in your bag mid combo, whatever. And two, it just relays the potential benefits as an individual was using by swapping the weapons like that. We had priests who were using sword and shield and then would swap to their staff, as they're flying away or whatever, and then give themselves a heal with their staff and then swap back to the sword and shield. So it makes sense that they make it so that if you swap weapons, it's only because you're in a safe situation and you're not going to be caught with your pants down, which is good. But warrior right now, I feel like it makes sense that they can swap weapons with it. But the negative that all of us are experiencing is when we go into the world and we pick up a upgrade. So if you're using a scepter and you go to a chest and you find an upgraded scepter of the same kind of scepter, when you put that scepter on to upgrade it, it takes your stamina. That's the only thing I find negative with this idea. It shouldn't take your stamina when you just get a natural upgrade. But if you're trying to like swap weapons, because often people were using it for benefit them in combat, now you have to choose whether you should do that because you're going to run out of stamina, or just stick with your own weapon. But that'd be cool if they remove that shit from warrior. Yeah, just remove that entirely and have them rely on one weapon. I'd be totally fine with it.
Yeah, I
But
miss
I
it.
just think the biggest negative,
I
you miss what?
being able to change weapon. I mean,
Oh yeah,
I'm not gonna
dang.
blow up either way, but yeah, I liked it because running around as a priest in PVE, I love using glowing sanctum. I love the staff. It's broken for PVE, but then I hear a rogue around the corner going to come in, and I don't want to fight him with that. I want to put my sword on, and once or twice I've done that, and it's ended in me dying, just because I don't have the time, I suppose, to change weapon.
I
That's
feel it.
I find that really annoying. And yeah, mid combat as well in arena, that was something I'd do a lot. Be playing sword and then yeah, pop the scepter out, jump away, get a few heals, chuck the sword back on. I mean,
Yeah,
it's not the gameplay they want, I suppose, but I feel like it does pull the skill ceiling down. I mean, they described it as degenerate behavior. I I felt it was just another level of
Jeez.
skill expression and another complexity to the game to learn. I, I don't think it's
It would be like a skill complexity or whatever, but imagine you were season 0, right?
yeah, yep.
I heard that in season 0, individuals had bags full of potions and stuff.
Yeah, that's a bit different, I feel, to weapon swapping. But
But
yes.
imagine, because what if hypothetically, because we're eventually gonna get more weapons and stuff down the road. What if hypothetically down the road we just end up filling our bag with our arsenal of weapons? We have like 6 weapons in our bag, and we just rotate between them because that's the meta.
Yeah, yeah, I can see it getting blown out of proportion. But I mean, that's what I did. I would always have a sword in my bag and a staff. But I mean, that means that you've got less space in your bag to take things out. There, there is a
Yeah.
trade off. It's not just like a free thing.
But right now,
But
I play my warrior when I play my paladin as well in season discovery. When I always play my characters out in PvP, I always try to build my character in a form where I'm prepared to fight no matter who I'm facing. So if I'm doing something and a priest comes out of nowhere and tries to mind control me like in WoW, or like when any random class comes and tries to do something to me, I'm prepared for like all situations because like I'm trying not to die. You know what I'm saying? So I just always keep myself in a position to like I'm prepared for when everybody comes. That's why I only play with my axe because you know I love my axe for one. You don't need the mason and shield for two, but I wear the same armor that I always wear, and I wear the same skills that I always use because I was able to like mold my warrior in a way where I can fight any class and be prepared for any situation and whenever it's presented.
yeah, I do something similar. I build my priest for the hardest matchup for myself. That's sort of how I do
What
it.
is your hardest? What is your hardest matchup? Rogues.
Uh yeah, it's funny. Rogues used to be like the easiest thing for me to fight last season. Like if I had to put my life on the line in a duel, I would say, well, I want to fight a rogue. But yeah, after versing Raiden the other night, I don't know so much anymore. Rogues are rogues and good warriors. Good warriors are very very scary. I've been having a lot more luck using the staff against warriors, though. To be honest,
Nice.
it's the only
Yeah, they
thing
gotta
that
tune down the power a little bit.
it's the only thing that can really break through those 8 block pips. If you get a full combo off, like the full 3 shots with your staff and a star, there's 5 of their block pips gone. Whereas, yeah, trying to do that with a sword is pretty scary. Don't really want to be on top of a warrior swinging.
Yeah, legit.
um, let's
Yeah, I'm
chat
also a
about
little scared about wars as well.
yeah, that they are very scary. Goldbrook. How did you think about the implementation of Goldbrook? Have you done much of it?
The new PVE map, I've spent some time in there. Sometimes I'll spend time in there like off stream, just killing, random creatures that is reward like the earlier goods. Because it's I could just, don't have to play any game audio because I know I'm not gonna get ganked and I could just watch a movie or some shit on the other screen. Um, but I feel like for the health of the game, it's very good because it's gonna allow new players to be able to get a almost like a handheld experience slightly in the beginning, long enough to maybe get addicted to the game because they'll start off in the PvE zone. They can find the creatures and enjoy their class abilities and just see the world. And then if they wanted to, they can venture into the PvP zone and then maybe run into players there. Which when the game populates, there's probably going to be a lot of individuals in the red zone, so they'll end up getting their taste of PvP there, and then they'll eventually make their way into Greenwood Day, and from there, that's when they can explore the world as well. But they're gonna get a lot of PvP. And if they don't like that much PvP, they can go back to Goldbrook and farm arguably the same materials that they can get from Greenwood Day, except on a slightly less. Like I don't think they're gonna get like a Bloodstone or anything like that.
No.
But they'll be able to get they can stay in Goldbrook for a while and get like their full sets of whites or maybe a full set of greens or a few sets of them even, so they can get better prepared for Greenwood Day. But I feel like it was a very good decision for the overall health of the game.
Yeah, no, I agree. I do like though that you're not going to be able to progress past a certain point in Goldbrook. Like there should be some incentives, obviously, to start venturing into the higher end maps, I suppose.
Yeah,
But with that, obviously, becomes the risk of you don't have your safe little zone.
yeah.
We touched on the campaigns earlier. I'm with you. I think they were a great introduction. Something you did say, and I did see some people discussing too. Not sure what channel, but um, you said you liked how you would spend money for these cosmetics, but there was also a quest line attached to them. Whereas some people saying they didn't like that. They felt like if they're paying money for a cosmetic, it should just be rewarded to them. They shouldn't be paying for a job, so to speak.
I feel that. My perspective is like this is an online service, like the game that we're playing and stuff. So it's a game that's constantly get updates and whatnot, and you can't expect, logically, you can't expect it to be for free. So the company needs to make their money, but I want the company to make their money without being predatory or trying to, cause us to spend a lot of money without them ever putting the money back into the game. So what? I know every game nowadays ends up selling shit in the store. We have games that sell cosmetics for, 10, 15, 20, $30. We have mounts that sell for $100 and shit. But these are just pixels, right, added to the game that you swipe your credit card and they're the coolest pixels, whether it's the coolest mount or the coolest armor. But all you do is you swipe your credit card and whatever price it was, boom, you check your mailbox and you're there and it's there. When they launch these things, these you're gonna end up. I don't feel like these skins are as rewarding or as cool because you'll end up seeing everybody wearing the same thing. You'll see so many people with the same mount, so many people with the same, you know, skin or whatever. And it's not a skin that was earned, right? It's not like a cool mount that was earned. It's just some random skin that they just purchased and gave them money and gave money to the company. But what this company did, companies need to make their money. What they did here was they didn't not only just create the pixels and just make the cool pixels, right? The cool skins, whatever. But when you go and you buy your skin, it's not just one skin. Where in a war, you're not just buying your Mason shield. You're also buying a lot of tabard shit, or sorry, a lot of banner shit like cosmetics. There's like 5 or 6 things that you're getting for the $6. But it's also tied to a quest line, which sure the individual could argue, oh, I don't want to work, swipe my credit card and get it. But you know, I don't feel like if everybody had that mindset, I don't think the game would be in a good spot because we'd have like World of Warcraft or other games where everybody had that mindset. I want to swipe my credit card and get the coolest skin. I want a mindset where I can swipe my credit card to get a cool skin, but it's not just boom in my mailbox. I still have to do stuff to go get it, and at the same time, the corporation still makes their money and everybody's happy, right? But the way that other people do it, they sell it for a lot more for a lot less content. So when you think about them creating a cool armor skin, it's just the dev at the computer creating the skin and that's it. It's done. They create a cool skin, which is like the bare minimum, and boom, it's done. But what the devs did here, they created the skin and they created the class campaigns and they attached, they had you do shit, and there's a lot more work that went into it just making the cool skin, and it was a lot cheaper. So I feel like we're getting a lot more bang for your buck. And at the end of the day, like they need to make their money.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I like it. I like that extra reason to go into certain maps to achieve certain goals, and like you said, it just creates more content. You've got new goals when you're going into the map, which is nice. 'Cause, yeah,
And this is how they started with it, but who knows what the other ideas that they'll implement in the future. But this was a good one so far.
yeah, no, definitely. Wow, like they killed the coolness of gear and mounts. Like, did you did you play back in the original like classic TBC Wrath days?
Yeah, I played vanilla and I played TBC and I played Wrath Legend. Yes, those mounts were very rare.
Bro,
When you
Ashes
get
of
these mounts that
Valar.
actually dropped, yeah, like whenever you got these mounts, like they were incredibly cool, like it
Yes.
was badass, like the word for it. But if they were to add that, and they could add cool skins like that in the game, like now, and not do any monetization for it, but the company wouldn't make much money themselves. So I like both. I like being able to get a cool mount in the game by farming it. But Blizzard also had cool mounts in the store, but like you don't have to farm it. You just swipe your credit card and you got one of the coolest mounts, which I don't think they should have done. If they wanted to make their money, they could have added cool mounts to the store, but had you go through like a long ass quest chain to unlock it or something. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
But
No,
to
I
be fair,
like
if
that.
Blizzard were to do that, it would have been really bad because they're charging $15 a month, $60 for an expansion pack, and then you swap your credit card for a mount, and then the mount doesn't even be given to you. In a sense, that would probably piss people off because they're doing so many ways, or there's so many ways that they're trying to take our money. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. The safe furnishing. There was
Deleted.
a lot of doom and gloom. Like people were. I think it was before people realized that the Mark of Stonehavens were going to have a change. I think that's what everyone had in their mind. This is what I'm going to stack. Like, because I think they used to stack to what, like 50 or 100.
No, I think we should delete it from the game.
Yeah, okay, you don't like it.
No, delete the vault or the safe, whatever. Because I played Escape from Tarkov, and Escape from Tarkov was my first iteration of extraction games, and there's other extraction games as well. But every extraction game has the same idea where there's a wipe day, and then on wipe day, everybody starts off on the same playing field, and the only difference is the experience that you learned along the way. So I've always liked that. And as a new player, if you want to get into a game, playing a game that's been out for a while and everybody has the best gear ready, it's very daunting because you're going to be fighting. It's scary. You're going to be fighting all these individuals that have way better gear and way better resources and materials than you do, and you just started playing the game and you have to start off at ground zero. I don't think we should go into a future season and then we have veterans even further ahead. You know what I'm saying? Imagine watching NASCAR and this type of shit, and the best racer starts ahead of everybody else.
Yeah,
Like that,
that's
it just doesn't make any sense at all.
a good
So I feel like
analogy.
they should. I feel like they should. The safe should not exist at all. Wipe day is wipe day. Everybody starts off fresh because sure they reduce the amount of stacking that you can do with these shards, or they reduce the amount of reputation coins you can collect. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it's still going to have the best players who are able to farm a few stacks of legendary shards or a few stacks of purple shards or whatever it is. Like it's going to put them ahead of everybody else, even if it's just a little bit. It's still way ahead of the new player because the new player doesn't have the experience, whereas the vet does have the experience, and they're given a 3x3 item to be given a step ahead of the others. I don't think they should do that at all. It's a very bad idea.
Yeah, it's just
Everybody should start fresh.
compounding on itself, like you said, like the knowledge of knowing where to find items, where to go, how to level, the basically just streamlining your progression. That's a huge part, just that inherent knowledge you need, and then yeah, by giving those people with that pre-existing knowledge another step up. I see what you mean. It's just another reason a new player's going to go, oh,
Yeah. Yeah, a new player seeing this, isn't going to be too excited when they hear that it's a wipe day. Everybody gets their gear deleted or whatever, but the vets and everybody are starting ahead of everybody else because they played last season. Not even just the vets, like individuals who were casuals last season are going to be a step of everybody else because they completed the campaign, or even if they didn't complete the campaign, they made it so that everybody who played that season naturally at the end you just unlock the safe. It's still going to make a big gap between the players who played this season and the new players who played next season. Like I don't think that should be a thing ever because like, the next season, some people argue, oh, it's fine because the players that are new to that season are going to farm their safe at the end of this season, and that doesn't matter because this season, even if it's next season, there will be a certain amount of players that play, and then the following season, there's always going to be new players. There's always going to be new players. So to have the perspective of the new player to always just be, you know, in a worse standing at the beginning of a wipe is crazy. Like I don't think the safe in any sort should exist. As a sweat myself, as an individual who plays the game a lot, I don't think I should be given an advantage to new players. Like what I'm saying. It just doesn't make sense. Like I said, the analogy, like it makes no sense to give the best race car NASCAR driver. It doesn't make sense to have him sitting a mile ahead of everybody else. It just doesn't make any sense.
yeah, I agree with you, but just to play devil's advocate here or throw out some ideas, what if what if the safe opened 2 weeks into the patch? What if it was locked day one and it didn't open for X amount of time into the new season?
That would make it better. Not gonna lie, but still, I don't think the safe should be a thing.
Yeah,
But
someone
if
in
it was
chat
locked,
saying
it
as
would make
well,
it better.
like taking 10 master hammers. It's a bit scary, isn't it? Things like
Yeah, having
that.
to grind 10 master hammers to unlock your safe
Oh no, someone's saying
will
like
be
being able to take a bunch of master hammers or something with you. I don't really know what people are going to be using it for, but like even in my mind, you can take like what 80 purple armor crystals with you.
no, they nerfed to the 5 stack now.
Ah, okay, okay,
But still, it's the idea of even if you have the shit in the state in the safe and it unlocks, we have individuals who are gonna be farming, blues and purples. We're about to we just hit the 2 weeks, I think. Like I already got a few sets of purples. So now my safe gets unlocked and I have like, multiple purple shards or legendary shards. And that puts me, week two is like a big leap difference between the vets and the new players and shit. Like I just don't think the safe is a good idea at all.
yep, yeah. No, I'm probably with you. I don't think it makes a
There's too many
massive
negatives.
difference with or without. So, and I don't hear many people saying they like the idea. Definitely, even all the veterans are saying they'd prefer not to have it for all the reasons you've said.
I would prefer, you know, uh grinding at the instead of grinding into the game to try to unlock the vault, I'd rather grind the end of at the end of the game to unlock a Kappa container. You ever play Tarkov?
No, I haven't.
Well, Skiff and Tarkov, there's a thing called a Kappa container, which is a 3x3 ass container that you eventually unlock by like grinding, like super high level, completing all the quests, like super high shit. They get the grind to get, and then it's a 3x3 ass container. They can put a lot of shit in there, but it's you can put anything in there. You can put meds, whatever the fuck you want in there. I feel like that would be cooler. People like I feel like people would grind for that more than the safe. Like I don't think the safe, let alone is it safe like bad because of things it could do for the new players, but it's just it's not worth the grind. But if that safe was replaced with like a 3x3 ass container, a lot of people would grind it, and then it would get reset at the end of the season. But people would definitely grind for that 3x3 ass container.
What do you mean by as container? Is this something you take into the
You
map with you, or
you know that pouch where you put stuff in there and it doesn't get deleted?
yes?
Yeah, it's your
Ah,
ass. Yeah,
okay,
you
yeah,
put yeah, you put stuff in your ass so people don't take it from you. Yeah.
right, yeah, okay. So
And but
a
right now
soul pouch,
right now
but
we have the
bigger.
soap house. Right now we have a 1x1, and then you can unlock a 2x2 like later on down the road. But Tarkov, you also have like a 2x2, and you have a 2x3, and then eventually you can unlock a 3x3, and that's like the big container that all the sweats and all the people who try to play the game, like that's what they work for.
Yeah, okay. I like that. I think that's a great idea.
But I don't think the safe is good.
Actually, yeah, someone saying never lose your weapon because you could swap things out mid combat.
Well, I imagine they could probably, change the 3x3 pouch to exclude things like they did on Tarkov. They changed it so you can't put ammo and you can't put clips or guns or shit like that on there anymore. You couldn't put meds in there after a certain while,
Yeah,
but they
okay.
can change it.
Yep.
But allow us to like get we can go farm logs and get a lot of treasure, whatever the hell, and not have to worry about losing it.
Yeah, no, I like that. That's definitely a cooler idea. Hey, I just got to run to the toilet, man. I'll be right back. Can you hear me now?
Gee, I can hear you, brother.
Let's have a little bit of a chat about future content. So, what would you like to see coming up?
Future.
Let's start there.
The Paladin. The
Paladin.
Paladin. Yeah, we must dispense justice, brother.
Well, we can have a little bit of chat about the Paladin now. That's something I was going to bring up. What are you hoping to see?
Well, one thing I was hoping to see, I was talking about it when I first started streaming this game, and which makes me super happy because it makes me feel like the devs are actually listening. Because I was from season discovery days. There was the devs that were saying, they were posting and they were saying, all right, if you want to help build season discovery and you have ideas, please go to the forums and post your ideas here. And I was in the forums every day. That was the first time I was ever in the forums in any game or anything. Like I don't do Reddit or any of that type of shit. And I was on the forums and I was reading every forum post. I was always responding. I was always posting. I was very active. And throughout the season, they would never implement anything that any player had ever asked for. Like they just constantly implemented ideas that no one asked for. And when I quit and came to this game, well, one of the things I was kept asking in season discovery was giving me a bounty thing to be able to hunt players down the map or whatever. Individuals who were killing new players or other players consistently. You would give us a way to hunt them down. And when I started playing this, I was saying how I wanted Paladin to have a like sense and justice mechanic, like a bounty mechanic, where because when I play the game, I res majority of the people I come across. I don't really kill everybody unless they're like like a content creator or something like that, or really sweat somebody who I know can take it. I'll still res them sometimes, but sometimes I'll still kill them. But when it's a new player, or whatever, I res every time, and I wanted to be able to hunt down a player who was willingly or consistently killing other players. You know what I'm saying? Like if I sensed injustice, I wanted to go dispense the justice. And the devs heard that, and they're implementing a mechanic for Paladin to be able to hunt down players after they got 3 kills or more, and you're gonna be able to see them on the map. Now I don't know exactly what that means, but I'm glad that they listened and is adding that to Paladin. Like that was one of my favorite things, like ideas, and one of the biggest things I'm looking forward to Paladin is being able to hunt down the sweats.
Yeah, I was going to ask you what does that look like in your mind? How does that happen? Do they get like a blip on their map every minute of where that player was, X amount 30 seconds ago or a minute ago, and so you still have to do some hunting, or how do they
I
do
don't know
that?
how they're gonna do it. I don't think logically it should do anything with the map. I don't think I should just open my map and see somebody there. I don't think I should just see a beacon of light in the distance or some shit. I don't know if any of that shit is going to be logical in the long run of it being played, because there would also be situations where more than one paladin will see the beacon or see the marker, and then they'll all go find that individual, and then they'll go team on his. So that might be a problem if they went down that route. But I feel like what they should do logically would be keep it the way the game is right now. And if I'm a paladin and I see you a hunter, to me you're just a normal hunter, and I'll go up and I'll kill you. And as you're downed, if the individual will get marked if they're a bad boy. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's gonna be like a beam of light shining on them or something when they're downed, and that will give me the option. Oh, I should kill you because the light wants it to or whatever. But I don't think it should be something you see on the map because it's going to lead to teaming or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been thinking about that, like how they implement a system like that. Trying to think of cool things. Who knows? Even maybe
I feel like you have to down the person first, and once you down them, they'll be marked in some way, and you'll be able to tell that they're a bad boy.
what if they're
But you got to down them first.
I think they're getting like a sword and mace. I think they said. I was thinking could have something cool like is it Lord of the Rings? Whenever the orcs are near, his sword glows blue.
Oh, that'd be pretty cool too.
Like yeah, you get if you get in close to
Yeah, the
a
hammer starts to glow or some shit when they're
yeah
close to somebody.
yeah
That's
just
evil. I mean, that's pretty badass.
it's still not
But
giving
that could
away.
lead that could still lead the teaming, because hypothetically there's just two paladins that just come across, and then a rogue is in the distance that you can see them. Both of the weapons start glowing. It would have them team on the rogue. But I feel like it should be, nobody should know they're bad until they're down, and then they're judged for what they've done.
Yeah, yeah, I see what you mean. Like yeah, you get to make that choice of executioner or not. You get given
Yeah.
a bit of that information upon yeah knocking someone down. A lot of people, myself included, have been talking about sort of in-game events in terms of random spawns on the map of world bosses, or uh, obviously don't do it as parachutes, but that sort of thing coming down from the sky, or visual things that let people know that there's going to be something happening in this area in this amount of time, or what are your thoughts on that sort of thing? Did Tarkov have
Yeah.
that sort of
Random
stuff?
events. Yeah, well, Tarkov kinda had random events. It had a plane where drop off a care package randomly. That was implemented, like, years later. They have random events, like, towards the end of the season, where they'll have, every boss spawn on every map, and it's, like, hectic and shit. Or they'll make it, like, events where, the gear is super cheap and the armor's super cheap and like that, but that's, like, towards the end of the wipe. But mid-wipe, not really, except for, like, maybe the planes and shit and, like, random boss spawns. But I would love for them to be, random events in this game, and not just one or two, like multiple random events that could, randomly happen in any game, and that would lead, but probably not all at the same time because that will end up splitting up the thing. But like, maybe randomly we get Morthog walking around in daytime, and he doesn't stick around one part. He walks, around the entire map in a specific path or some shit. Maybe they implement the dragon that's coming in Karth. Maybe that dragon, shows up in the random map, or maybe there's like PvP zones that drop extra loot. But like, I don't know what events they can implement, but events is definitely needed, like
Yeah.
some kind of hotspot that individuals that are not PvPers could avoid and be like, okay, that's a bad spot to avoid. And then they'd avoid it. And then individuals who are sweats be like, okay, I want to go to that spot because not just because players are going to be there, but because something rewarding is going to be there. Should it be a boss? I don't know if it should be a boss because no one fights Morthog right now, even though Morthog is easily accessible. But that's because Morthog is already incredibly challenging, and Morthog in itself, when he's going to take all your potions and consumables, and then when you're outside of the Morthog and you kill him, you have a chance you're going to get teamed on by a team. So I don't know if, a walking boss should be the play, but something, maybe like a bunch of loot goblins are running around in there, or, in this area, chests have a higher drop rate. Like, I don't know. I don't even know if chests should be it because then you have rogues just walking around and just stealing all the chests, but something.
Yeah, no, I'm with you too in the sense that like the each map they develop should have like, let's just say six for a random number of events, and yeah, they shouldn't be happening at the same time, and they should be randomized each map, so each extraction feels different, and even some of them being super rare. So you hear a war horn go
Yeah.
off, and you know it's a really rare event, and it's exciting. You're like, oh, haven't done this in a couple of days, or just to yeah, create a little bit of what do you call it, uniqueness to every map, I suppose, that you load into. You don't know what's going to happen, what the event's going to be, and the interactions. It's just going to create more social interaction too, because, like you said, it's going to draw people to those areas that want to be there. And that's the joy of this game. I think those interactions you have and those fun fights you have and those player created moments.
Yeah, man.
They sort of had that in season 0 with Morthog because he was the only way to get mithril ore. There was no mithril nodes
Oh,
in the game. He
interesting.
he was the best chance of getting purple gear. Basically, the only way. Oh, you could get them off other things, but extremely rare. He was the only way to get mithril, and for a while, the gates didn't go up either. So you could be in there fighting him, and another team could jump down in the pit while you're mid fight. He was like the
Yeah, that's
original
crazy.
point of interest. But I think they got rid of that because that was the end game loop. Once players got to a certain point, that's all people were doing. Like, it was just you'd go to Morthog, you'd either wait for other teams there or you'd try to take him and then try to fight your way out. It was very chaotic, but I kind of miss it a little bit. It was very fun. You were guaranteed to find people there.
Interesting. I feel like it would just be incredibly hectic.
Oh yeah, yes it was. Um, in talking about Morthog, what are your thoughts about them saying, that they might be instancing him and potentially some other sort of content like that where it's you got to have blue gear to queue into it, but you're queuing in and there's not going to be other players in there. It's just you and your team or you by yourself. What do you think about that?
I think putting Morthog, currently Morthog being in the cave, um, I feel like it's in the game right now, but nobody does Morthog unless you're like by yourself as a fire mage, or you're doing it with your own buddies. And the sense of Kevin, Rakan or some shit like that, they will do a trio. But like the average trio isn't going to necessarily enjoy doing Morthog because one, it's already incredibly challenging, and two, they're most likely going to get ganked when the game finally gets populated and there's thousands of players and stuff. So I feel like them moving Morthog to its own instance is a good thing, but they got to replace Morthog with another point of interest. But I think they're going to end up doing that down the road. And Morthog having its own instance isn't that big of a deal, except for the fact that you don't lose your gear if you die. I don't think that should be the case. I think if you do the Morthog PvE zone, if you die, you still lose your gear. And I think they should also give Morthog a leaderboard for like the fastest kill or like the most
Ooh.
kills, and that will give the PvE nerds something to compete against, and they would still have to do the extraction and probably avoid PvP if they don't want to have PvP, but they should still do the extraction will to get the gear, and then after a while they choose to go down the PvP route, which is doing arenas and doing our own leaderboards, or you can go down the PvE route, which is doing Morthog and potentially the future dragon that's coming in Karth if they put that as its own instance, and then you do your own leaderboards. And I think they should have a cosmetic attached to the top 1% of the leaderboards in arena and the PvE leaderboards, but they should share the same cosmetic. Like it shouldn't be the PvP gets their own cosmetic and the PvE gets their own cosmetic. Because if they do that, they're gonna have individuals that are gonna be like, damn, the PvE one's cooler than the PvP, or the PvP one's cooler than the PvE, and they're gonna be forced to use play the other one, and probably not enjoy what they're doing. Because getting to the top 1% would probably be very difficult in either aspect, PvP or PvE. So it'd be nice if both sides could choose to go down the PvP route and try to farm 1%, or the PvE route and try to farm 1%, and in the end you get a cosmetic. And who knows, maybe like the top 10% gets a cosmetic as well. And like, even just for participating, and you get like 100 games, maybe some dragon teeth for the future, so everyone gets something. Like, I don't know,
Yeah, I
but
like
it would
that.
be.
My big fear with that though is this is just coming from a priest perspective. If you're trying to do speed runs of Morthog, no one's ever taken a priest
Well, that'll probably change.
because you're gonna want to poison there, stop him from healing. So instantly, there's rogues or hunters being invited. You're probably going to want a wizard because of their damage. Maybe even a warrior too for the hemorrhage and armor reduction. But yeah, I feel like priests would just never get taken to something like that. But that's just my
I
priest
would. I don't
brain.
think that's. I don't think that'll be the case because this isn't like a World of Warcraft where you can just invite, or you just randomly queue up and say, "Hey, looking for men for stockades," and then you say, "Whisper, I'm looking for a healer." You say, "I'm a priest," and you say, "I'm not gonna invite you." Like that's not gonna happen in this type of game. I feel like what would happen is, because it's gonna be you're gonna have to choose the mixed queue. If you queue up for Morthog and it's an instance thing, there's no hub where you can just invite people. You have to either hit mixed queue, which will queue up with anyone else randomly that also has mixed queue, or you have to go in there solo by yourself, or you have to go in there with your own two buddies or your own, buddy. What I'm saying? You have to make your own group in that sense. So you'd go with your friends. So you'd be invited for playing with your friends. And the mixed queue would be random. So nobody's gonna, wouldn't invite you in that sense. You'd still get a games for sure.
Oh, I think you'd still get in, but I just don't think you'd ever be in contention for that top 1%, is more what I'm saying. You'd still be able to do it, absolutely. But I feel like certain classes might just be locked out of getting to that
I wouldn't say that
number.
because we have Yak, for example. You know who Yak is?
Yeah, yeah, yep.
Yeah, Yak is a very good priest, and he always plays with Rakan, and he always plays with like Swanifire, Memories, all these guys. So I would imagine even he would be considered in the top 1%, because 1% right now in the player base of 200 people is what, like fucking 20 or something? No, that's 10%. It would be two.
Two.
Yeah, so like no, I wouldn't be I wouldn't be really good. So, but at 1% of the player base, when there's like 25,000 players of players or some shit, Like it would be like what 2,500?
250.
No, it'd be 250.
Yeah.
Yeah, 250. That has more than enough room to add all of us if we are the top 1% and individuals who don't even know their names. So I feel like Yak would still get up there, and even Rakan would still get up there, and Memories and Lich, and like I feel like every class has the potential.
Yeah. You might be
And maybe
right.
it's
I
not top
just
1%, maybe it's top 5% or something.
yeah, if it was
But I feel like
a bit more than that, yeah, that could solve it. I just know that as soon as you put these leaderboards in and things like this, people get super sweaty. They put their brain caps on and they work out the best thing. And if taking that extra wizard over a priest is going to give you a 10% bonus to kill time, people will do that.
they could even they could even go down like the World of Warcraft route, where when you do arenas at specific MMR ratings, you're able to get a specific gear, but instead of getting a specific gear, they can give us like a little cosmetic. And as you get higher in the MMR, the cosmetic gets better and better and better that you unlock. And towards the end, you can unlock, I don't know, like 4 cosmetics. And the PvE and the PvP would share the same cosmetics, and you can choose whatever direction you go down. And that would give everybody a chance to achieve a cosmetic at like 1,000 MMR, and there's one at 1,500, and there's one at 2K, and there's one at 2,500. And sure, you might not be able to get the 2,500 top 1%, but everyone who participates in PvP or PvE content would eventually work towards a cosmetic
Yeah. Yeah, no, I like
or
that.
multiple.
Somebody in chat saying they'd like extraction mode leaderboards, but I don't know how you would do that. What would that leaderboard be based on? I've heard people say this before,
Well,
but then it's like, well, does that mean that just the people who don't have jobs and sit at home and play all day long? Is it going to be like the original WoW PvP grind of just like you have the most time, you win, rather than you are the most skilled, you win? That's my big fear with something like that. Is it rewards time rather than skill?
I don't think they should personally put leaderboards in the extraction, because the extraction is where new players and sweats are going to play, and it would literally just destroy resing entirely. I feel like individuals would just try to get the highest KD and all that, and just kill every player. You see a Timmy and Grays, you kill them to get your KD up. So I don't think that's gonna be good for the overall game. I think the leaderboard should just be stuck to something competitive, which would be like the arenas or the PVE world boss or mini or sorry,
Yeah,
instance
instanced.
bosses.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, I even thought like maybe you in my mind right now, there's kind of like three tiers of maps. You got your beginner map, Goldbrook. You got your entry map, Greenwood Day, and then you have your more advanced maps. Maybe even if it was just hills in those advanced maps. So Greenwood Day wasn't like you said. That was another fear I had. If it's a KDA thing, no one's gonna res anyone, like you said. Gonna be like, well, I need every single kill I can get. Yeah, Crips only
I
KDA
mean,
potentially something like that.
well, I don't know what would be the goal of putting the leaderboards in
Yeah,
the extraction map. Is it just content or something for us to do?
yeah, I suppose that's where he's coming from.
Because I feel like we could probably, if it's for content or something to do, I imagine that problem will probably be fixed when they start giving us random events throughout the maps.
Yeah,
But
I think
having
that's the better
the
idea too.
I feel like the leaderboard inside the extraction is almost pointless, because it doesn't matter. It doesn't. You're not working towards anything. It's just an emotional feel good of, oh, I got 5 kills and 1 win. Whereas if you're doing leaderboards and it was connected to the arenas, you have to win the arenas, but it's going to be attached to a cosmetic or something in the end. If that was the case, if they actually do that,
Yeah, I
but
like
we
that
need
a lot
like
more.
we need random events. I feel like just random events that just brings players to it more, so you can kill each other and take their gear out, and then you take their gear and you go farm your rating on whatever the fuck, or some shit, or go into the next higher tier map. I don't know.
We've touched a little bit on it, but let's talk about Arena. What are you yay or nay for them introducing Arena into the game as a permanent staple?
Yeah, that's incredible. Yeah. Yeah, arenas is an incredible thing, but they should have a casual and a ranked mode. A casual mode, just like any shooter game casual, where you go in there and you can just play the game and have fun, but you don't lose anything. And then there's got to be a ranked mode where there's actual MMR rating, and that's the one work towards your cosmetic, but you die and you lose your gear,
Lose your gear,
so
you
that there's a
reckon?
loop. You, yes, you lose your gear in ranked mode. Casual PvP or casual arenas, no, you don't. And ranked arenas, you lose your gear.
Oof. I feel like that's pretty scary. Might turn a lot of people off.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be it's definitely scary, but it's gonna if Arena stays in the game and there's no if Arena's in the game right now, there would be no reason to go back to do the extraction. You do the extraction, you farm one set of purples, and you beat the game. Now you just do arenas all day until wipe day. I don't feel like that's good. There's got to be incentive to go back to the extraction because you lost your set in whether it's fighting Morthog in the PvE zone or you lost your set in the arenas doing PvP. You got to go back to the main version of the game and go farm some more shit because I feel like that is actually important. The extraction is the main part of the game, so I feel like they need a reason to go back. So they're gonna, if you want to do arenas to practice, they have a casual mode where you can sign up 1v1s, 2v2s, 3v3s, whatever, and you can do arenas and you don't lose anything, even if you want to just your arena fix. But there's a ranked mode, and the ranked mode, you lose your gear when you die.
My fear with that is thinking from my own mind, if I farm up a set of purples, I go in, lose a game, lose all my purples, then go spend another X amount of hours farming up a set of purples, go back in, lose that again. How many times can I do that before I'm just like, fuck this? Nah.
Yeah, but you don't have to go straight into the ranked mode. You can go into the casual mode and get practice in the PvP and do arenas and not lose your mode. You don't have to do mode.
Absolutely, but what if I do that and then my first ranked modes, I lose that gear both times?
But yeah, but that would be a possibility of you losing your gear in the extraction. If
Yeah,
you go and you farm gear in the extraction and you get full purples, you would end up losing it to a rogue, killing you or fighting you or ganking you. Were fighting a mob mid extraction. That's the overall danger of the world of extraction game. It's a game where if you die, you lose your gear. So it's a dangerous world. But
yeah,
if you were to play the main part of the game, which is the extraction, and it's a dangerous world there, and you farm one set of purples, and then from here on out, you never have to worry about losing your gear because you can go fight Morthog all day long and die 1,000 times and never lose gear. Or you can go fight and do arenas and die 1,000 times, never lose gear. The extraction mode would become secondary, but it's not secondary. It's like the literal main thing of this game, which is you go into the extraction, you farm the materials you need, you getting the better gear and then you leaving out with it or getting out with it. But people want to be able to use that gear on something, and that would be arenas, or that would be farming PVE mobs, and that would be Morthog. But the idea of where you do this content and you die and you don't lose anything, it shouldn't be a thing because then people would just never like right now. Death matches was available thing right now. It's already been a thing in season one. People didn't do the extractions. People stopped playing the extractions when death matches turned off, and then they went back onto they loaded up the game again when they turned death matches back on. That's because people like the death matches and people love the arenas and stuff. But it's gonna pull them away from the extractions because naturally people just want to do the fun part, which is the PvP or the PvE or sorry the raid bosses or whatever. They don't want to have to necessarily grind the gear. But if this is an extraction game, they need that, or the extraction part would die. Like it would be considered the minimal. But the extraction's already dangerous. So an individual would say, "Oh, I don't want to do ranked mode arenas because I'm gonna lose my gear." Then they don't do it, and they just do extractions, and then they'd still lose their gear in PvP.
yeah, yeah. No, I see what you're saying. I feel like that's a
But the ranked
little
mode would be
heavy-handed. I'd like to see. I know what you mean. There needs to be some way for both modes to be a little bit more symbiotic with each other and to keep people playing extraction. But
they could have it so that you lose gear after a certain rating. I don't know. On ranked mode, you don't lose gear until up to 1,500, and then after 1,500, you start losing your gear. So that it's the sweats who fight each other, and there's a reward, and it's actual meaningful ranked.
yeah, maybe something like that. Or after 10 losses, your gear breaks, something like that. I just feel like it'd feel so bad to farm all this gear up, go in, even if you do some scrims first to warm up, you go in first rank game, poof, everything gone. I feel
Yeah, but you
like
don't have to. Yeah, but you don't have to do a rank. You do the casual. If you try to do the warm up or whatever, and you're scared about losing your gear, you do a bunch of casual games, and I guess some wins under your belt, and then when you get the blood flowing, then you go into ranked mode. And if you die, you fucked up. Then you go bar. You can go bring another set of gear or go farm it.
yeah, yeah. No, I definitely see
But it
what
will
you're
keep
saying,
a.
but
It
uh,
would. I would keep a. I feel like it would keep a healthy game loop. You know, you play the main part where you do the extraction, you get the gear, you take this gear out into the casual PvP arenas if you wanted to get some practice, and then from there you take it into the ranked mode, and then you win a couple ranks, and then you get a couple of gear sets from the people you killed, and then boom, you lose on your third game, and you lose that set of gear, and you have to go back into the extraction to go farm more gear, or you farmed the extraction long enough and you got multiple sets, and all you have to do is put on another set of gear, and you go back into ranked mode, and then you get one kill, and then you die on your second death, or perhaps you die on your first death, and you have to go back and fight the game. But it keeps a loop of individuals going back into all parts of the game. You got to go in the daytime to farm specific. You go back into crypts to go because you need to go to get a lens for whatever piece of gear. Like it will keep it going to different maps to farm different materials you need for the different gear pieces you need. Then you use that gear piece to go into arenas, and you can choose to be casual and have fun and casual all fucking day long, and you don't lose anything, but you also don't gain anything. Or you can, do ranked, and if you win, you get a little bit of XP for killing the person, and you get their gear that they drop, and you get rating.
yeah,
And in the end, whoever has the top 1% in rating gets a cosmetic.
that was going to be my next question. Does the team who beat you they get your gear?
Yep, yeah. The team who beats you takes your gear. Yep,
Yeah,
they take your gear, and then you can, I don't know, like a portal opens up or some shit where they can freely walk out and then leave the game with the gear that you got.
it'd be interesting. I don't know how much I am with you on that idea. It scares me a bit, but I like to hear everyone's
Oh, 100%
perspectives.
scary. Yeah, 100% is gonna be scary. Yeah, being able to like dying and losing your gear, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to see how they implement it, I guess. Some of the
But
ideas
that's
I
how the
had
game is
is
right now.
is maybe like after a month of extraction, that's when the PvP ladder opens up for the back half of the season, I suppose. Just so the extraction is populated for a long time.
But then after that opens up, do you think the extractions are going to continue to populate, or do you think it would die off?
Depends on player count. I think there's always going to be certain people who don't want to do the PvP arena, especially if you've got, like you said, 25,000 people. I think there's always going to be people in the extraction modes because maybe they just prefer that world PvP feel and the vibe of that PvP rather than these organized
See,
arenas.
so you think they should unlock arenas, and when you die, you don't lose anything? Is there anything to gain?
Well, it's just the MMR system, I suppose. It's just the glory of, I
So if
suppose.
you're gonna, so if there is something to gain, like an MMR system, and there's like the MMR system will like reward a cosmetic, I assume.
Yeah, that would be my idea. Yeah, the top sort of X percentage, like you were saying, gets a title or a cool weapon skin or something like that. I think that would be
So I would
nice.
imagine I would imagine if that was the case, it would cause individuals, even casuals, knowing that they don't have to lose their gear in ranked arena, would just get their gear from greens to blues to purples and get that one set of purple and just do arenas and PvE all day until they unlock those cosmetics. There might
If
be individuals, sure, who enjoy the extraction naturally, but if there's a cosmetic reward and those cosmetics are cool looking, the individual would, work towards it, especially in a situation where, nobody dies and you could just do it without any kind of negative effect to your gear. There would just naturally be a lot of people be willing to participate in this.
yeah, yeah, no, for sure. Like you said, though, I suppose if they've got that PVE option of getting the same cosmetics too, they might choose to go down that route instead. But I mean, that's taking people out of the extraction mode as well.
Yeah, it's gonna take. Yeah, that's gonna. If you don't lose your gear in the PVE or the PvP like arenas or the raid instance, if you don't lose your gear in that sense, then it would naturally just pull a huge amount of players away from the extraction. Not only even players who naturally just enjoy the extraction more, because just imagine, Drip is very important. If there's a cool skin and like a warrior axe weapon had like flame effect or some shit like that, and it was attached to these MMR systems, individuals can be like, "Oh, that's so cool," and they might enjoy the extraction, but they're gonna just try to play the extraction to get one set of purples, and then just not test the extraction for the rest of the season, trying to farm the MMR rating to unlock that cosmetic,
Yeah, no,
and it would just naturally ruin the main part of the game, which is the extraction. So I feel like being able to extraction right now in the game, right, with arenas and the raid boss put to the side, right now, if you die in any map, except for Goldbrook or Social Hub, if you die in any map, you lose your gear just naturally. Fighting a PVE, fighting a PvP, a player, you're gonna die and lose your gear. So it's already a dangerous world. So we should keep that dangerous world vibe going forward. And when you get your gear, you could choose to do a casual ranked mode, or sorry, casual PvP mode, where you can do the death matches where it is right now. You do 1v1s, 2v2s, 3v3s, and if you die, nothing happens. And you can literally, if you wanted to, spend the rest of your life of the season doing death matches, with nothing to gain, right? Or you can go to the extraction if you wanted to and earn the game you wanted, but there's also a ranked mode that is an option that has rewards to it because it's an actual ranked mode. And if you die, just like you die in the extraction, if you die in this world, you lose the gear that you brought in. I feel like that would be personally, I feel like that's awesome because an individual doesn't have to do the ranked mode, but they could if they want to. But the ranked mode is dangerous, and that would make the skins that are rewarded from them awesome, like way cooler. It's harder to get, rare, whatever it may be. But there doesn't have to be one skin where like the top 1% gets it. They can have multiple skins. They could have a skin at 1,000 rating. They have a skin at 1,500 rating. They could have a skin at 2,000 rating. They have a skin at 2,500. And they could even make it so that you don't lose any gear until you get to 1,500 rating, so they can unlock their first two cosmetics without worrying they're going to lose their gear. And then on the third and fourth one, it gets dangerous. Like, are you sure you want to? It's like what's that show that's like on TV where they spin the wheel or some shit, and you gamble what you've earned already.
yeah, yeah,
They could like like you can choose to double down, and you're like, all right, I'm not going to go in and my gear, or you're gonna no, I'm cool with what I have and just walk away with two cosmetics.
yeah, yeah. No, you kind of swaying me. I would like to see the acquisition of gear maybe being a little bit easier or faster if it was going to be that. Because
Yeah,
if you want to,
it'd be
you've
nice
got
to get purples and legendaries faster.
yeah, someone like me, with a kid, for instance, you don't get to play all that often, and you build up all your gear, and the missus and the kid have gone away for a day, and you're like, I've got 8 hour window here, can't wait to get some PvP in, and then you just lose your gear straight away, and then you've got to spend the rest of the day
Yeah.
building a kit up again. But yeah, I
I feel
mean,
that. Yeah, for as a casual dad like yourself, if you enjoyed PvP, you could just do the extraction like on wipe day. You play whatever days you have available throughout from the wipe day, and then you'll farm a set of purples like 3 weeks or a month down the road, and then you can do arenas and you can do casuals all day if you wanted. You
yeah,
won't get a cosmetic, but you can do casuals all day if you wanted without having to worry about. Or you can start working towards the rank mode cosmetic, but that as a casual dad might be difficult.
yeah,
But as a casual dad, I don't think even like in any like PvP sense, like I don't even think it's possible for like a casual dad to get gladiator. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like that takes a lot of time.
yeah, yeah. Maybe it's just not something for everyone then. Yeah, it'll be
No,
interesting to
I
see.
think they could make something. I think they could do something that would benefit a vast majority of players, but keep the heart of the game alive, which is a dangerous world.
Yeah. No, I like your idea of hitting a certain MMR and then that's when things become a bit more risky. That's a nice idea. Nice little mix there.
Yeah,
I
pretty cool.
my idea for because we've kind of talked about this before with a few guests was and they've brought up guilds before. Um I thought they could do like guild war games. So just say it was 5v5 or 6 or 7, whatever number they come up with, and you go into you load in against another guild, and it's 5 different arena style games. Like Arathi Basin and a siege map or a capture the flag, whatever. There's 5 different ones, and you put all of that gear on the line. I thought that would be a cool way to keep, and those have some really great cosmetic rewards, like the top guilds at the end of a season. But after those 5 games, whoever loses all that gear. I thought that would be a cool way to have some sort of PvP system that actually takes the gear from you, rather than an arena system that you can technically get games done in 3, 4, 5 minutes.
Well, I mean, I feel like who know how long do you feel like games would last if it was a 5 versus 5?
It depends on the size of the map and the objective of the game, I suppose.
I guess if it was like a capture the flag, probably like 20 to 30-minute games, huh?
Yeah, they could be a lot longer. So I mean, you're taking that gear in, but you're getting a few hours of gameplay with that gear that you've farmed up, and you might not lose it, but you could. But at least I've built this gear up. Me and the boys are going to go in. We've got 3 hour session here where you get to use that gear and have a blast with it. And if you lose it at the end of that, so be it. But that's just my fear. It's like you spend hours and hours and hours. It could be a week or two for someone, and then they go into an arena and that gear's gone in 3 minutes.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll just have to see what they decide to do with that, I suppose. I think everyone's going to have different ideas of how they should do arena and what should be on the line and whether it should be preset. A lot of people like the idea of preset because they think it should be fair, but I think in an extraction game it should definitely be bring your own gear. Even up to legendary, that was a way I thought, you're going to have people in the extraction maps for a long time because it can be pretty hard to get a full set of legendaries. Some people do it really quick, but I think I did like 80 runs last season of Crypts and got 1 legendary shard.
Jeez.
So, I mean, that would have forced me to keep playing Crypts for a long time if it was bring your own gear. Even if you didn't lose it, like, I would have still been in there banging it out to get that legendary gear.
I feel like they should make the gear, if they do end up making arenas and the arenas you actually end up losing your gear in the ranked mode, they should make the gear easily accessible or easier to access. Making because you've been playing since season 0, right? They used to say that purples was only dropped from Morthog, so probably seeing people in blues and purples was super rare. In season 1 when I started, like blues and purples were still rare when I started. And now, and like towards the end of the season or middle of the season, they changed it. They changed the loot so that it was easier to get blues and more consistent purples. So I'm hoping in the future they change it again so that it's easier to get purples and legendaries. Who knows? That might even happen with the Karth map. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
But in a world where legendaries are easy to access in the higher map, I feel like it wouldn't be that bad to lose gear, I guess. But right now, it does feel a little painful to lose the gear that you spent forever to grind.
Yeah. Someone in chat's even said, like, what if you put up 1 piece of gear per arena, or even it costed you a purple crystal or something like that? So there was, yeah, even something like that, I don't mind. Like, it costs you a purple crystal to play. And if you win, you get one, obviously. So you can keep yourself going for a while. But if you lose a bunch in a row, then you're forced to go back into the map, I suppose, and farm up again to get more materials to play.
I mean, that's not bad, I guess. Like a coin system, like when you're playing like one of those arcade games.
Yeah, something like that. So I guess you're not having to re refinance your whole gear set, but yeah, maybe there is something that you need to play the extraction map to pay for your entries, so to speak. That's not a bad idea. I don't mind that at all.
It's not a bad idea at all. But I just feel like the world being dangerous should be considered around all parts of the game, because they're also introducing Morthog in its own instance, and they said that when you die fighting Morthog, you don't lose your gear. I don't think that should be a thing. You know what I'm saying, like Morthog should be considered as a dangerous boss. You shouldn't just go in there zug zug brain, and eventually after your 100th try, you get the kill down and you never risked any.
Yeah,
Like I feel like
I didn't know they said that. I don't agree with that either. I think you should lose gear in a map
yes, I
type
think
like
I
that.
think Yeah, I think you should definitely. It's a dangerous world. So I feel like you should definitely lose gear on all aspects of the game. Like that's why I feel like in the ranked mode after 1500 rating, maybe you should start losing your gear. And there should have a casual mode too for individuals who want to do arenas but don't want to lose their gear. They don't have to work towards a cosmetic if they don't want to, but they could do the fun part, which
Yeah,
is just doing 1v1s and 2v2 or 3v3 all days. So if your boys are, you know, if you're there's no way you and the boys are to like farm to get 1% or rank one rating. So there's like no reason to do the ranked mode. But if you and the boys have a few hours off because the wife's at work or the kids at school, whatever, and you have time to play with your boys, you can just load casual games where you don't lose anything and you still get the arena, you know, experience.
yeah, yeah. No, some good points, man. Definitely a different vibe to what I'd like to see, but I like to hear it. Good to get a lot of different opinions on things. I'd like to see them implement something like that and see what players think of it anyway. At least test it out and get the community
Yeah, we'll
feedback.
see what they do this season. I think they're implementing some arenas mid-season or something like that,
Yeah, that's. I
which is
was
kind of
just
cool.
about to bring that up to you. Yeah, they said something about bit of a PvP overhaul, what that means, whether it's new maps or leaderboards or what. They also said something about leaderboards coming mid-season, what that means.
Yeah,
I
I'm
mean,
excited about that as well. I'm not as excited because I'm hoping that from a Warriors perspective, they nerfed our horn, so I'm like super rage starved. So I feel like more than ever, I feel like I'm being forced to use Mason Shield, and I'm hoping they just nerf the fuck out of it and do something about our rage. Because other than that, I'm not really looking forward to the leaderboards because I'm just gonna be doing poo poo. I'm gonna die to every rogue and every Mason Shield warrior.
uh, so, in terms of the marketing and promotion that they're talking about getting to, reaching this gold state, how far in your mind do you think they are? What do you think needs to be done before you, in your mind, they're at a state where you think marketing and promotion is viable?
They could market the game right now, and the game would be more successful than Dark and Darker. But they're not trying to just market the game and have slighter success than Dark and Darker. I imagine they're trying to market the game to have this game be incredibly successful, so that they can be able to use the excess funds that they get from this project to start on their other project. Because this is like their first thing that they made. So I don't know.
Yeah, well, they did talk about in I think it was the Meet the Devs number 8. They were talking about how they can continue expanding this game into even more of an MMO feel and different game types within this. So that could be something that comes in the future.
Yeah, that'd be pretty sick.
So what do you think needs to be done in your mind? What?
Well, they gotta add everything from the dev roadmap. And when they do that, the game would be in a solid state. It would probably take them, I don't know, probably like a year and a half maybe to get everything done on the roadmap. But we really need the paladin. We really need the witch because we need a curse kind of class. We need the paladin class and maybe a druid, but like the druid and stuff like that could probably come out in the future. With these classes that we have right now, the game would be in solid state. Plus, we'd have the Karth map, which would be like the final end game map for now until we get more maps in the future. So the game would definitely be in a very great spot with what they have listed. Externally, from what they have listed, I don't think we're missing much that should be added to the game. I think the game's got a pretty solid foundation. The things that they're going to add are going to make it better.
Uh, Two things there. Firstly, with the addition of more maps, um, obviously, I think the simple answer to this is player count. But before you get to that state, do you think with the addition of more maps, they should be putting in a rotation system? Because even now, I think there's too many maps and too many map types in solo duo mix sort of thing for the player count we have.
Well, for the player count we have, it's bad. So yeah, having too many maps is a problem. But Escape from Tarkov, for example, is another extraction game that also has an arena mode and it's got its own PvE mode, and it's also have the extraction mode, and it's got like 9 maps or some shit. It's got a lot of maps. So it's not necessarily the map being a problem, the amount of maps. It's the player base or the amount of players.
Yep.
And if they were like having more maps is going to be a problem in this map in this game because we can have Karth, which is going to be our fourth map, and eventually the Karth is going to be dead in the beginning because no one's going to play it because that's like the end game stuff. But players will work towards Karth. But when there's like 25,000 players, for example, there's going to be hundreds at least in daytime, hundreds at least in nighttime, and crypts and you know Karth. Like it's going to be spread among them, even though it's going to be, let's say, a very few as hundreds, it's still more than we would have right now, and players would still feel like their lobbies are populated because they're not going to just run to the same players every day. It'll be a rotating of maybe 300 players, but this could be different names, doing these types of maps, and everybody else will be doing arenas or the fucking Morthog boss or whatever it may be. But I don't think maps is a problem. I feel like in the future we're gonna get more maps, and there might be the players can have a choice. You can either go to Greenwood Day because you like this aesthetic and it rewards this level gear like common quality shit, or you can go to this common quality map because it has a different kind of aesthetic, or you can go to this uncommon, or so you can go to this like the green map like the Crypts, or you can go to another map that requires you to use green. But it gives you the option because some people don't like Crypts. Some people don't like having that you have to require to use green, and the map that requires you to use green is Crypts. They would rather go to a different map that requires you to use greens that's outside or something, even if it's like a snowy map or whatever it may be. But like I feel like option choice is going to be good, and that'll also open them up to like more quests and more potential things they can add. But I don't think it's gonna uh make the game feel dead. It'll only make the game feel dead if they had all those maps right now. Because right now there's not enough players to even fill like two maps.
Yeah.
But once the game's populated, like with Karth is the final map for the pre-release. Karth is great, right? After Karth, that means the game's going to be at 1.0, and that's the game. The game's already launched at that point. And then future content, like years from now, we probably get more maps and we get more classes and more weapon skills and armor skills and stuff like that. But we definitely get more additions. Like 1.0 isn't going to mean that it's just and it's just going to mean the foundation set.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, no, like we said, the answer to a lot of these questions is player count, and that's certainly one of them.
That's the biggest problem.
And the other thing you said, the witch, this hex class. I'm I'm somewhat scared of another warlock or shadow priest from WoW. Like, what are you expecting these curses and hexes to be? I don't want
Oh,
someone
it's
to
going
be
to be a
able.
toxic class.
Yeah, I don't want, especially because they said what they can turn into a cat. How frustrating is it going to be for, uh, especially like I imagine a warrior if he these witches are running in, dotting you up, turning into a cat, jumping up a cliff, and just kiting you around. And then as soon as you turn to run away to heal, he runs back at you, redots you up.
I don't know. I don't know if he's going to be able to. I don't know how the cat's going to be able to jump or how high they can jump. I don't know if they're going to be able to get in cliffs or whatever. But I imagine what's going to happen a lot is I'm going to be fighting a witch. They're going to dot me up, and I don't know if they can change into cat form mid combat. If they can, that'll be crazy because it's going to tend. It's going to be what's going to happen a lot is me chasing a witch, whether them being in defensive mode and trying to survive, or me chasing a witch because I got a dot on them and they're just trying to kite me, or so they got a dot on me and they're just trying to kite me. But they're going to turn a tree, or they're going to turn around a corner or behind a rock, and they're going to turn to cat form and then just hide in a little bush, and I'm not going to be able to find them. And then and I'm just gonna be like, it's gonna drive me crazy. They're gonna jump out of nowhere and then put dots on me, run another tree, and then go into another bush. Is what's probably gonna be like the biggest problem. And I feel like it's just gonna be a very toxic, annoying class to fight because of damage over time effects. You don't have to aim as much. You just put your poison dart on them. You just you put your whatever the fuck it's called, the shadow stuff for rogues. You put these things on them and they just tick slowly but surely. So I don't know how they're gonna do it. I hope they just do. It's a dot class that does a little bit of dot damage, but they got like chaos bolt or something like a warlock would, where they still got to do big damage or something like that. But I have no idea. But I hope they don't make it super fucking in.
Yeah, I think there should certainly only be one applied dot if they even get dots. Because, yeah, that could get out of hand really quickly. I feel like this game is like every action really counts in using your stamina, using the right abilities at the right time. And I think something that can just dot you and keep distance takes away from that
Yeah,
style of combat. That's something I'm a bit scared of. But I mean, we have no idea really what they're cooking. They might not even
yeah,
have
no
dots.
idea.
They're just using these curses and hexes as words, and we as the players are kind of making assumptions on previous games and what we think that means. But we could be well off. Time will tell, I suppose.
It would definitely be interesting to come, but I just can't wait till Paladin comes, brother. Less than 3 months.
Yeah, well, what do they have said it's going to be next season, haven't they?
It said it's season 3.
Yep. Yeah, no, I'm pretty excited too. It might be I think I've gotten a wizard to level 16 last season, but beyond that, I think that's the most I've ever played another class. But I think I might give the paladin a go. Sounds very exciting.
Nice.
You'll have to give me some tips, man.
You just gotta have faith in the light, brother.
Well, that's most of the points I had there. I don't know if you had anything else you wanted to touch on.
I feel like we touched every part of the game. I feel like
Yeah, no, it's been a good chat, man.
it was.
All right. Well, thanks very much, man. I appreciate your time. And after who knows, maybe at the start of our season 3, we can do this again. We can have a chat about the paladin and
Oh, it's gonna be big. It's gonna be big.
yeah, who knows? Even maybe when they do a meet the devs kind of releasing a lot more about paladin, we could even do it. Doesn't have to be this long. A bit of a smaller chat if you're keen. Definitely.
Yeah, you could even do a podcast with multiple content creators. You know, like 4 of us or 6 of us or something like that.
That's something I do want to do in the future. Actually, yeah. So yeah, maybe when that comes up, we'll get your help in wrangling some of the boys together. Finding a time to get everyone is the hard part, but I'm happy waking up early mornings like this if it suits you guys. So
Gee, yeah, this was awesome, man. Thank you for having me, brother.
no, thanks for being here, man. You have yourself a great afternoon, and I'll see you around.
See you, man.
Peace, everyone.